The snow outside the cafe windows had begun to fall harder, blurring the city lights into soft halos, and for a moment it felt as if time itself was holding its breath. He stood just inside the door, chest rising fast, heart pounding with a mix of regret and disbelief that he had almost not come at all. Late, embarrassed, and carrying the weight of a life that never seemed to give him a break, he wondered if this single decision would change everything or simply add another quiet disappointment to his long list. What he did not know was that this ordinary Christmas evening in a quiet corner of the United States was about to become the turning point of two very different lives. If you believe that kindness still exists, that second chances can change destinies, and that the smallest moments can carry the greatest miracles, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more stories that touch the heart. Nathan Caldwell had never liked blind dates, especially not ones arranged for Christmas Eve. At 32, his life felt stuck in a loop of missed opportunities and silent sacrifices. He worked two jobs, one at a logistics warehouse during the day and another driving delivery vans at night, all to keep his widowed mother's medical bills under control and to prevent the small family home in Ohio from slipping away. Christmas for Nathan was rarely about gifts or joy anymore. It was about endurance, about making it through another year without losing what little stability remained. When his cousin insisted on setting him up with someone she described only as different, he almost said no. But something in her voice, a quiet certainty, made him agree, even though he promised himself he would leave early if it felt wrong. That promise nearly became reality when the delivery van broke down on the highway just as the sun dipped below the horizon. Nathan spent over an hour in the cold, hands numb, phone pressed to his ear as he begged for roadside assistance. Every passing minute felt like another reason to turn back, to accept that good things simply weren't meant for him. By the time he reached the cafe, his jacket dusted with snow and his confidence shaken, he was certain she had already left. People like him were not meant to keep people waiting, especially not on Christmas. Inside, the cafe was warm and softly lit, decorated with simple wreaths and white lights that reflected gently off polished wood and glass. And there she was, seated calmly with a cup of coffee, her posture relaxed, her expression patient rather than annoyed. Her name was Margaret Sinclair, though most people called her Maggie. She was 36, with a presence that felt steady and unshakable, as if she had learned long ago how to sit comfortably with both silence and uncertainty. To the outside world, Margaret was a self-made billionaire, the founder of a technology firm that had transformed rural healthcare systems across the country. To herself, she was simply a woman who had spent too many holidays alone, hiding success behind a carefully maintained distance from others. Margaret had arrived early, as she always did. Punctuality to her was a sign of respect, but patience was a sign of understanding. She had watched the door more than once, not with expectation but with curiosity. When Nathan finally walked in, flustered and clearly apologetic even before he spoke, she felt something rare and unexpected. Relief, not because he was handsome or impressive, but because he had come at all. She had learned over the years that people often disappeared when life grew inconvenient. Nathan's presence, despite everything, felt like a quiet promise kept. The evening unfolded slowly, without the forced sparkle that often accompanied holiday encounters. Nathan spoke about his mother, about the long nights and the constant worry that hovered like a shadow over every plan he made. He did not dress his struggles up as virtues, nor did he ask for sympathy. He spoke the way people do when they are tired of pretending but still hopeful enough to be honest. Margaret listened, really listened, something she had rarely found even among the most accomplished people in her world. She spoke of her work, of growing up in a modest town in Vermont, of losing her father young and learning early that security was something you built with your own hands. As the snow continued to fall, something unspoken settled between them. Nathan felt seen in a way he never had before, not as a problem to be solved or a life to be pitied, but as a man doing his best in circumstances he did not choose. Margaret, in turn, felt her carefully constructed walls soften. She had spent years wondering if anyone would ever look at her without seeing the numbers attached to her name. With Nathan, there was no calculation, no quiet awe or subtle resentment, just simple human attention. Over the following weeks, their connection deepened. Nathan remained unaware of the full scope of Margaret's wealth, knowing only that she ran a successful company and lived comfortably. Margaret chose not to reveal more, wanting something pure, something unburdened by expectations. They walked through snow-dusted parks, shared modest meals, and talked late into the night about regrets and dreams they had never voiced aloud. For Nathan, hope began to feel less like a dangerous indulgence and more like a fragile possibility. For Margaret, joy returned in quiet ways, in laughter that came easily and in mornings that felt lighter. The real test came when Nathan's life threatened to collapse once more. His mother's condition worsened, requiring a costly surgery that insurance refused to fully cover. The weight of it pressed down on him until sleep became elusive and smiles felt like lies. Margaret sensed the change, the way his shoulders slumped, the way his eyes carried fear even when he tried to hide it. When the truth finally surfaced, it did so not as a plea for help, but as a confession of despair. Nathan was preparing to sell the house, to give up the last piece of his childhood to keep his mother alive. Margaret faced a choice she had avoided her entire adult life. She could step in, solve the problem with a phone call and a transfer of funds, or she could remain silent and risk losing him to circumstances beyond either of their control. She chose honesty, revealing not just her wealth but her fear, her longing to be loved without conditions. Nathan's reaction was not what she expected. There was no anger, no accusation of deception. There was only quiet reflection and, eventually, gratitude mixed with resolve. He accepted her help for his mother, not as charity, but as an act of shared humanity, a bridge built on trust rather than power. Time passed, and Christmas returned, bringing with it a different kind of stillness. Nathan's mother recovered, their home remained intact, and Nathan found himself stepping into a new role within Margaret's company, not because of her influence but because she believed in his integrity and work ethic. Their relationship matured into something resilient, shaped by honesty and mutual respect. On the anniversary of their blind date, they returned to the same cafe, snow falling just as it had before. As they sat together, hands intertwined, Margaret reflected on the moment she had waited, calm and certain, believing he would come. She realized that faith, whether in people or in life itself, was an act of courage. Nathan, looking around the warm room, understood that being late had almost cost him everything, but showing up, even imperfectly, had given him more than he ever imagined. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that patience, kindness, and faith in others can change lives, please take a moment now to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and let us know in the comments how it made you feel. And before this story ends, we have a special request for you. Please comment the word hope if you believe that even the most delayed moments can arrive right on time. Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering the city in quiet forgiveness. Inside, two lives once shaped by loneliness and fear now moved forward together. Not because of wealth or timing, but because one Christmas night someone chose to wait, and someone else chose, against all odds, to show up.